Welcome to KoinJive, where we talk crap about whatever. And today we're going to be talking about the idea of a MetaCrisis. And this is a term that may sound unfamiliar to many, but it is a concept that has been gaining more attention in recent years. It refers to the idea that our world is currently facing a crisis on a meta level, encompassing multiple crises within different aspects of society. And in the midst of our fast-paced and ever-evolving world, it's becoming increasingly evident that we are on the brink of a meta-crisis. Essentially, humans have spent the last 150 years lining up dominoes on end. These dominoes include technological advances, political turmoils, and environmental degradation, and all sorts of other things that we're going to go into. And now, here we stand on the precipice, waiting for the first domino to fall, thus toppling all of the others. It's essential that we understand the seriousness of these times. There is no denying that the world is changing faster than humans seem to be able to manage in a reasonable way. There are so many hot spots and irons in the fire all at the same time that it's hard to even keep track of them, much less manage them responsibly. Each potential crisis that we have set up for ourselves is linked, by proximity if nothing else, with the crises in front of it and behind it, leading to an interconnectedness that ultimately builds a web of polycrisis and influences that to some degree define and redefine one another. So, to fully comprehend the complexity of the current situation, it's crucial that we first break down what exactly a metacrisis entails. The term designates a crisis of monumental proportion, affecting all dimensions of our global society. It signifies a profound and impactful shift that triggers this domino effect that influences every aspect of our lives. Right now, the consensus among experts is that we are teetering on the edge of a novel or new kind of metacrisis. And it's primarily triggered by swift societal changes and possibly even the emergence of new technologies. Some have proposed that we have experienced these kinds of metacrises or polycrises in the past, notably the Great Depression and World War II. But clearly, the line of dominoes that we have set up since then is much bigger and much more complex. We're currently looking at a crisis of so many different dominoes that any one of them could fall at any time, causing a total collapse of all of them. So let's take a bit of a look at some of these dominoes that we're dealing with. There's undeniable climate concerns. Here in Texas, it's Christmas Day and quite warm. Yesterday it was 75 degrees. Today I don't think it's going to get up quite to that point. There are so many unusual things going on with the climate that it's hard to deny that something is going on, whether it's man-made or natural. I'll leave that to you to debate. Then there's the powder keg of geopolitics. Just look at everything that's going on around the world. Any one of these things could trigger disaster at any moment. The growing concerns about artificial intelligence. Just imagine when we have a general artificial intelligence, or AGI, artificial general intelligence, that is also quantum based and lives on the blockchain and travels through 5G. That's going to be quite a scenario for humans. It would be inconceivable that an intelligence like that would not take over and just absolutely run everything. Another thing is the dependence on the internet and the Internet of Things. We, have the recent Netflix movie about an internet cyber hack or a cyber hack that takes out the internet and just totally collapses everything. And that's exactly what would happen if the internet went down. Everything that you do in your life is dependent upon the internet. You can't buy food, you can't buy gas, you can't get health care, you can't work, you can't have money, you can't do anything without the internet. And it is so easy for that to be taken away. Next, the precipice on which the economy currently teeters. As we've discussed in previous episodes and previous blog posts, it's estimated by some economists that are very well respected that probably we're going to have a serious economic problem by May of 2024. That the world economy is just walking a razor's edge and it's going to fall off at any moment. Next, the thin ice of banking and finance. Ever since 2008, we have been in a banking and finance crisis, and we've just been slapping Band-Aids on it, and it has never been fixed. And so that is a weak link in this chain that could snap at any moment. Next, let's look at medical and healthcare concerns. There are so many issues here. The blowback from the recent pandemic and the intervention that was pushed for that, the inevitable continuation of this pandemic and new pandemics, increasing healthcare costs and supply chain issues. 90% of prescription medications come from China or India, and India gets the constituents to make what they make from China. And China has drastically cut its exports of everything. So supply chain for just prescription drugs would be disastrous if that were to stop, not to mention all the other things. And then the uninsured and underinsured, with all of the immigration issues going on, we have so many uninsured people. And then the rest of the country is fairly underinsured. So we've got issues of biotechnology and transhumanism, and a big one that doesn't get much press is antibiotic resistance and other resistant organisms, whether they be viruses or fungi or whatever. The next issue is the fragility of the supply chain overall. I mean, look at the Panama Canal, Suez Canal, Red Sea, all of these stuff that's going on that is compromising the supply chain. Oh, we've addressed this already, but we have a world supply chain that is barely functioning at the moment and is likely to stop functioning completely soon. Dwindling resources. China has stopped exporting rare earth minerals, and the entire technological world runs on these things, and China is the primary producer. So not only are the resources dwindling, but countries are hanging on to what they have for strategic purposes. Infrastructure fragility. Our infrastructure is 70 years old. It was primarily built since World War II. And, things like water systems, sewer systems, electricity, electric grids, things like that. And all of the materials to maintain those come from China, and China is really cutting back on providing us with what we need to maintain our infrastructure. Social changes, the left-right divide, changing morals and values, changing in social classes, the growing elite class, and all of the concerns involved in that. So it's undeniable that we are in quite a pickle here. And the MetaCrisis, while imposing what seems to be daunting challenges, also opens up pathways for transformative solutions. And if we dive into the fundamental or foundational elements that underlie all of these issues, we can strategically come up with responses for them. The understanding of ourselves and of the world has never been more of an existential issue than it is today. If we don't act quickly and wisely, we may not have another opportunity to save ourselves. Every challenge, though, can be seen as an opportunity for growth and change. No matter how hopeless the situation currently seems, I say it is a historical opportunity to become better as individuals and as a species. So let's join together and solve this problem before it becomes actually unsolvable.